Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. We have reached the hadith number 5 from Al-Arba'un al-Nawawi that was compiled by Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah. This is an important hadith that is taken, and it is one of the qa'idah, one of the fundamentals of fiqh, of the field of Islamic jurisprudence. It was narrated by al-Mu'mineen عائشة رضي الله عنها قالت قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من أحدث في أمرنا هذا ما ليس منه فهو رد. And in a narration from Muslim, Sahih al-Muslim, it is mentioned as من عمل عملا ليس عليه أمرنا فهو رد. This hadith is narrated both in Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih al-Muslim. And most of the hadith that we have took so far is narrated both in Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih al-Muslim. As for this hadith, that if anyone would do or innovate anything that is from deen, ma laysa minhu fahuwa rad, and that is not accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is rejected. And anything that is rejected by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as we all know, inna kulla muhdathatin bid'ah wa kulla bid'atin dalala wa kulla dalalatin fin nar, that every innovation is part of bid'ah, and every bid'ah is going to be from the misguided, which are going to be from the hellfire. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from the hellfire. And in this hadith, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he has mentioned something extremely important, and that should be part of our manhaj, that we always go back to the asl. That is, we always go back to the Quran, we go back to the Sunnah, we go back to what the Sahabas taught us, what the scholars who came after the Sahabas, what they taught us, as in terms of to understand Quran and Sunnah. We want to understand Quran and Sunnah in the understanding of what the Sahabas and the scholars who came initially, and from those scholars we know the best of them, the Imams of Fiqh, Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, Imam Malik, Imam Shafi'i, Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, and most other scholars, Imam al-Bukhari rahimahullah, Imam Muslim, and so many of them in many fields of deen. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He guides us to the straight path. And as in terms of something to be considered as bid'ah, as in terms of something to be considered as innovation, there are 4 things that it needs to be met. The first thing, that this thing itself, or this part of something that we are talking about, should be an innovation, should be something that is new, it is not there previously. The second thing is that this innovation should be in deen, not in dunya. Anything that you have in dunya as part of innovation is not considered bid'ah, which is the bid'ah that we refer in Islam. Likewise, the third condition is that this new thing, that is innovation, that is there in deen, it should not have an asl in deen. Like for example, let's say for example, someone wants to make dua, and dua has an asl in deen. But let's say for example, someone wants to make dua, but in a completely different style, completely different way. He wants to maybe shout and maybe make some scene, make dua, which is not part of Islam, and this is considered bid'ah because there is no asl in deen. When you say inna kulla muhdathatin bid'ah, kullu ma laysa lahu asl, that every single thing that does not have asl in Sharia is considered bid'ah. The fourth condition is that it should be done with the intention of ibadah. If for example someone is saying, okay, I want to do so and so, I want to pray Fajr in the time of Isha, or I want to give sadaqah in this specific new type of way, which is not there ever, to a specific type of group or people, which it is not mentioned as part of sadaqah, and he wants to do so and so, and he intends to get ajr for that, or he intends that to be as part of worship, as part of ibadah, then that is bid'ah. So there are these 4 conditions that needs to be met for something to be called bid'ah, or if it meets most of these four conditions. And anything that is fulfilled by these, we try to stay away from as much as we can. As for ibadah, we always need to make sure that we keep it in our mind that we don't do ibadah according to our whims and fancies. We think, it is good to give some money, so I'm just giving some money. No, that does not work. You should have the niyyah that I'm doing it for the sake of Allah, and I'm going to ask the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you give sadaqah for the sake of sadaqah in its right ways of sadaqah, and that is going to be accepted. Likewise, for example, you just want to do some good with your friend so and so, and you expect ajr for that. That does not work that way. We have to do it with the sincere intention, as what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned as part of ibadah in its asl, in its default form that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had taught us through Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And there are two main things that we understand from this hadith. Both of the riwayas, من أحدث في أمرنا هذا ما ليس منه فهو رد, and also من عمل عملا ليس عليه أمرنا فهو رد. It shows us there are two types of things, or two types of ibadah which people try to do, or innovations or bid'ah, that is rejected. And the first type is that someone does something that is new, that is innovation. For example, he wants to do the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but he wants to have a specific tone or specific style or music or something that was never given by Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And this is completely a bid'ah which is not accepted. And the second type that we can understand, the scholars they mention from this hadith, is someone that does something. من عمل عملا ليس عليه أمرنا فهو رد. يعني the one who does something that is against what Sharia says. For example, someone drinks khamr, or someone drinks wine or alcohol, or indulges in riba, which are things that is forbidden in deen. Those are also things that are rejected, and both of them take the person to hellfire. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He guides us to the straight path and make us from the people of Jannah.